Oh, oh my God. Go get your coffee.
I'm leaving Logan to catch the T. My destination, Blueberry Street. Yeah, I'm in Boston, and it feels so good. I'm so excited, I got my tickets to see the Pats play, and then the Celtics, and a Fenway game, and it feels so good. And it feels so good. So good, so good. We bump our fists up in the air. So good, so good. We're living proud, so we shout it loud. And it feels so good. We spend the summer down at the Common, and in the winter we cheer the Bruins. The weather doesn't make the city, it's the people, and it feels so good. And it feels so good. So good, so good. We bump our fists up in the air. So good, so good. We're living proud, so we shout it loud. And it feels so good. And it feels so good. So good, so good. So we never really care. So good, so good. And we work all day and we play all night. And it feels so good. Well, on a Friday night, we'll chill, start a fight. Yeah, she'll bash a bottle right off your head. She'll give you a smile while you talk for a while, but you're never gonna get in her bed. She's got a body of a goddess, mind like a man. She'll always tell you where she stands, 'cause she's been drinking with the boys, talking about them dirty things that she enjoys. She wears her shirts real low, her skirts real high.
Good morning, motherfuckers. How are you? It is Bumpa with another fine edition of the Daily Pissah Morning Show. How are you, folks? I know. Yep, I'm late. Overslept, and then the longest thing actually was getting ready. And I know that I need to get ready the night before, but sometimes that's not always possible. Last night, family was more important. So there are just times where I just can't get to it, and I do my best. So when you watch this on the replay, if you're not watching live, hey, if you are watching live, slam into the chat room over there and say hello. I do have, I had a chat up, I closed it? Oh. So I got a bunch of different things to talk about. Some cool shit, some funny shit, some I told you so shit. I like that stuff. But yeah, we'll see what we can find out here. So the chat's up and running. Say hello if you whatever platform you're on. We are on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Vaughn Live, D Live, Trovo, and Africa TV. So wherever you are, say hello in whatever language you might speak. But I do have quite a few things with you today, and we'll get right into it. The first thing, and some people will agree, disagree, and again, some of these things I bring up, people think it's I'm trying to take a political stance and stuff. None of this is politics. To me, it's just common sense, economics, or what is right or wrong for society. It's not a political stance. Like there are plenty of things, no matter what side of the aisle you might lean on, that I accept or don't accept. And it's not, I'm just more or less looking at what makes sense, financial sense. And like we talked about the minimum wage yesterday, it's a no-brainer if you double companies' salaries, their wage line, it's going to affect. You're a fucking retard if you think otherwise. And people will say that, like I said, mentioned yesterday, the historical data, the research we did, when we've had minimum wage increases, inflation wasn't that high or things like that. Well, yeah, but that's because minimum wage crept very little, 10 cents or 25 cents or, maybe at most 50 cents. Okay. It crept up a little bit. So yeah, inflation's going to barely creep up with it. But when you're talking doubling salaries, you're talking a $5 to $8 jump. Yeah, I'm sorry, but inflation is gonna shoot up. But that's, again, my 2 cents. You may or may not agree with me. Whatever. That is completely your right. Chime in over there, whoever's here. Chime in on your chat. Hopefully, I'd like to say hello. But my first one today is going to be student loan forgiveness, and I bring this up again, not political, because you have to know the details specific. A lot of people are getting excited about this because, oh, I can write off my student loan, blah blah blah. This only applies to federal service loans, and if those are far and few between. There are a lot of other loans people might mistaken us for, say like what is it, Sally Mae, things like that. Those are not eligible. A lot of these provided through private backers is not covered under this. There are very few that are actually covered for the student loan forgiveness. So a lot of people are excited for no reason. A majority of those student loans still outstanding will still be owed. You are not going to get a forgiveness. The majority of student loans are not eligible for forgiveness because basically they're private loans from private institutions. They might be on a low interest rate, things like that, because of federal standards or whatever. But you're not writing it off anytime soon. And so, I point out this cartoon here. Yeah, you took out a loan, you pay it back. That's just the way it works. It sucks. Yeah, it does suck. But at the same time, you originally went to school or took on these student loans knowing you'd have to pay it back, even though it would take a long time to pay back, especially depending on what your major is. Especially put yourself to medical school. God bless you. Hopefully, whatever your expertise is pays it off someday. Same thing with law school. But, I think a lot of people just need to look at the fine print. People get excited about headlines. And I've always been one to know how to read beyond the headlines. And I say that because you'll see a headline, so-and-so got arrested for being, I don't know, for tickling the kid. I know that doesn't sound right. But what I'm saying is that, you read the story, no, he got arrested because someone yelled at him and he punched the guy in the face. Or, there's more to that story. But that's not what the headline says. And that's because headlines are what sells, and today that's what they call sells newspapers. But now it's clicks, right? It's all about the clicks. If you don't get the clicks, your article sucks. And that's all the news, these so-called news outlets want. Get those clicks. So click this, click that, go click yourself. I think it's absolute fucking bullshit the way things are going in that sense. False headlines, I think misleading headlines. There needs to be some type of legal ramification for headlines that are just misleading. I think a misleading headline, and like I just mentioned, I yelled at my kid, and then the neighborhood, somebody in the neighborhood got upset with me, so I started yelling and screaming at them. And I get arrested because I created disturbance, or maybe I pushed the guy or girl or whatever because they were getting into my business or whatever. So then the headline reads, guy gets arrested for yelling at his kid. No, I didn't get arrested for yelling at the kid. I got arrested for being a douchebag or beating up the neighbor, something like that. That's the difference. And, it's so misleading because same thing like in the COVID mask at games and stuff, right? Someone gets arrested because they weren't wearing a mask. No, they got arrested because they were asked to put on the mask or leave, and they chose to do neither. Okay? Once you're told to leave, you have to leave. And wherever you guys think that you might be as public, you're wrong. I hate to tell you, you're wrong. If you're at a high school football game and you're told to wear your mask and you don't wear your mask, you know who owns that park, stadium, whatever it is, that football field? Not you. It might be, quote, public school or public property, blah, blah, blah. But it is owned and controlled by the school or the athletics department. They have say on how to use those fields, who can use those fields, and who can be at those fields. And they also put on whatever rules they want in place. That goes to any town, state, or federal park. Whatever department is in charge of that park is the ultimate authority of those parks. So when someone tells you got to take your mask, put your mask on, or leave, and you don't leave, sorry, you're trespassing. And if they ask you to leave and you don't leave, and then you start creating a scene, now you're being disorderly. It's disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, whatever your state allows for that. So people, please, I mean, you just don't understand. People like we have a right to protest or whatever. You do at a public park or something, yeah, with a permit. Supreme Court says, yeah, you can do it with a permit, and it has to be peaceable, right? Peaceable. People don't think this stuff through. Just because you are not flipping cars over does not mean peaceable. Because honestly, if you look up the definition, basically once you become a scary crowd, you're no longer peaceable. Okay? And if you start interrupting with cars traveling and stuff like that, and you don't have a parade permit, you are now no longer peaceable either. You're not allowed to do that stuff. And trust me, I'm all pro Constitution. Don't don't tread on me. Don't fucking infringe my rights. I get that, but I also also understand how things really are. Okay, a lot of public property is not public property. It is owned by the town. You do not own the town. How much as you want to think you do, you pay taxes to it. You do not own the town or city, whatever it is, the state. Everyone, we love to sit there and cry that Congress works for us. They do in a sense. We vote them in, but we're not running their HR department, whatever you want to call it. Once they get elected, they have 4 years, 2 years, 4 years, whatever office they're serving, to do their thing. And when you fire them after their term, and you don't vote for them again, and that depends whether or not enough people agree with you whether or not they should be or not be in office. Okay, so they work for us. You can say that all day long, but at the end of their term, if they go back in again, well, you wanted them fired, but enough people didn't. So it sucks. I know it sucks, but we gotta make sure that people get the right person in office in the first place. So a quick little change though, going from that to entertainment. This is a weird one, and I think kind of Patty, like my baby, my love muffin. Patty pointed this one out to me. Some rock and roll Hall of Fame had a few new inductees or eligible to be inducted, and those names that come up are kind of threw me for a loop. And it's just I don't know. Some of those include, as you see in the picture here, Jay-Z, LL Cool J, and I saw I think last year, or I might have got interrupted. It was they had cut short because of the COVID, but Notorious B.I.G. was supposed to be inducted also. He was on the list. It's just I'm mind blown on this. But they were fan favorites. What were other ones that threw me for a loop? Like I said, Jay-Z, LL Cool J was another one. But anyway, it's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. These are not people I would expect to be in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. However, they're basically the only what do you call it? The criteria is that they needed to have at least 25 years. It had to be 25 years since their first recording to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. I would want to think that particular artist would be in the actual genre of rock and roll. But they look at it as an influence overall in the 25 plus years since they recorded their first album. Now, do you agree with that? Is that something I'm just I'm mystified on this? Shouldn't there be like a hip hop Hall of Fame? I don't know. Is there one? Same thing with jazz, all that. This is rock and roll, and as much as I respect LL Cool J, Jay-Z, I don't really see them as rock and roll. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Do you think they belong in a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Because I just don't see that that's where they're at. And I'm lost again. Me trying to connect the dots on that, And speaking of connect the dots, did you see this newest lady here, Pam Carlin? She's a Stanford University law professor, and she also was on the, what do we want to call it? the Facebook Police Board. We'll call it that. The Facebook Police Board. Uh, she's worked in Facebook's advisory board. Basically help define what is proper, what is not proper to post on Facebook. Uh, she's an attorney that also testified against Trump several times that he needs to be held accountable for his actions. So I just find it weird that she was not only on Facebook's oversight committee, she also testified during the impeachment back in I forget what it was a couple of years ago against Trump, and now Biden has appointed her or plans to bring her on board as a deputy assistant attorney general. So for the civil rights division. So I guess you play your cards right. You hang out in the right places, hang out with the right people. You will end up there. I don't know, but I thought pointing that out again. Facebook police, anti-Trump everything, and this lady had an active role in those, and is now going to be in the administration, in the DOJ. So again, connect the dots, ass kissing. My biggest disappointment is the fact that she was part of the oversight board of Facebook, and now she's part of the DOJ. And I say that because Facebook, so many people have been disciplined, naughty. Actually, I got one yesterday. I forgot all about that. There was a picture of a meme I posted back in October of 2020, and I just got a notification yesterday. It was removed because it was violated the terms, and it was something about COVID mask, right? So what happened? Some motherfucker snitched on me. That's what it is. Some motherfucker, one of my friends snitched on me. So I'm gonna trim that fucking list down even more. But one of them motherfuckers snitched on me. They had a mask. It was a mask. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was something to the tune of, bitching about masks. But again, and as much as I hate the mask, I do wear them. I respect the rules everywhere I go. I put the mask on. I don't argue with anybody. So I do that. But I posted something that I thought was funny, and I can't remember exactly what it was. But again, it was in October of 2020, and it just got shot back that it was not acceptable. And so that, to me, since it's been posted that long, and now someone was going through my pictures and reporting it. So someone didn't like it. If you're one of those people that, unless if it involves a child, because of some type of inappropriate sexual type thing, or it incites violence or whatever. And, when I say incites violence, I mean real violence, not like, I'll give you a dope slap. That's not violence. All right. But if there was something that was really bad, yeah, okay, report that. But just because you don't share an opinion on a lot of things, you don't need to report somebody. All right. You're just a whiny baby. And if you do that because you don't like certain things that are posted, then you're a whiny little bitch. And it sucks to have to say it like that, but that's what the truth is. And you're going to cry about it. You can cry about it. You shouldn't. But, think people will post stuff about you on Facebook. That's just the way it is. That's the way life is sometimes. A friend will, call you out, bitch about you, especially if you're no longer friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, things like that, husband, wife, you break up. People will fucking rake you over the coals of verbal assault. And there's no such thing as verbal assault, just so you know. Get your coffee. Spike it if you need to. So yeah, connect the dots on that one. They're just going, I hate the nepotism involved in politics, because if she'd done all the right things in the right places, trying to keep, to me, did everything to fight for the left side. And again, it's not about left or right, but she obviously did everything on that side. And now she gets a nice job. That's especially a great way to polish up a career like hers. But anyway, how about the Super Bowl champions, or the team leader, the captain, Monsieur Brady? Huh? Now, Mr. Brady, he got to tie one on the other day. A lot of people have seen it already, pictures and videos. Um, he was hammered, fucking hammered. And you know what? Good for him. He fucking deserves that shit all day long. He earned that right. And this guy is ultimate low key, low profile for someone as hot, popular, in popularity as he is. This guy is probably the most low key um, celebrity on the planet. I mean, this guy does very little to stick out. You know, he does his little things here and there, like Kimmel or something like that. He does some commercials. You know, all very, and you know, he does great at them. You know, I expect to see him in action movies after retirement. When he decides to retire, he's going to be an actor. Mark my word on that. But I think you know, he deserved the ability to get drunk like he did, celebrate, because that was huge for him. Not only, you know, that he left the Patriots and went to the Buccaneers and won Super Bowl. That was in my eyes, with or without Gronk, that was one way for him to prove that he could do it anywhere. And I think that was, he needed that more than anybody. And as much as a Patriots fan I am, oh, there's my Indian up, but where is it? Oh, I have hats everywhere. But as much of a Patriots fan I am, you know, and it's sad to see that Brady left. I'm very happy for him because he deserves that. He deserves to prove that it wasn't just because of the Patriots. He deserves to be able to prove himself, and he did just that. Greatest of all time, not because of the Patriots, which a lot of people kind of assume, because he was with the Patriots, because he's with the Patriots. Yes, Gronk helped them. Gronk scored a couple touchdowns, right? But even without those 2 touchdowns, they still would have won. So that was great. You know, he did awesome. And I just wanted to point that out. But I do have the video on that. You see the video? That's hilarious. Oh, let me find the let's see, where'd it go? Take that away. Put this up. Okay, let's do that again. You gotta love that. All right, so his daughter is screaming, "Daddy, don't!" And he takes the Lombardi Trophy. I'm surprised he's gonna get shit from the NFL. I wonder. I don't know. And, but that's awesome. You know, that's how hammered he was, tossing from boat to boat. He's tossing the trophy. So one more time. It's a good throw. It's good. All right. Oh. Yeah, right. But you know, the guy deserved it. Like I said, you know, he earned that shit. Fucking earned that shit. All right. Hey, let's circle back now. We're gonna circle back here to my girl Jen Psaki. And why am I gonna circle back to Jen Psaki? Because Jen here the other day, yesterday I brought it up because the day before or so, she talked about schools reopening, and you know, Biden had pledged to have a majority of the schools open. That's his big pledge. Well, they defined it as more than 51%, which is 51% of, oh, excuse me, my coffee, schools open counts as majority of schools open. And then he's getting criticism because he's accused of backpedaling on his pledge because, as Ms. Psaki here stated the other day, that just one day of school in school counts as the school is open. And you know, I thought about that for a bit because I'm like, well, a lot of schools are already open. But so anyway, Biden is backpedaling. They are accusing Biden of backpedaling on his pledge to open schools after they came out with that definition, because now they don't really think that he's going to really do much. Biden's initial pledge in December was to reopen a majority of schools in the first 100 days of office. So in January, he specified that the goal applied only to schools that teach through 8th grade. So now when you do that, the 8th grade automatically, reduces the amount of schools that he has to reopen. I think it was from 130,000 schools down to 90,000. And this week, they defined it as, like I said, at least 1 day a week in school. So now that's not really reopen, is it? I mean, for most schools, they're already doing that. Some schools are doing a little more than that. But she called Jen Psaki, as she defined that 1 day of school, that it's a bar that they hope to exceed. Yeah, well, I fucking hope so. Biden's goal is to set the majority of schools, as I said, more than 50% by the 100-day. But again, that means teaching in the classrooms. And my biggest question was, how about the financial support on that? And that was addressed, but they really didn't provide any more details on that. The goal was moved slow, and the goal has been moved low. That's why they wanted, rather than all schools, they moved it low. But they also said that 58% of schools are already doing at least 1 day, if not more. So it's already 58%. And so, now keep an eye on that, because now when it comes next month, they're going to say, look, we did it. We opened the majority of schools. No, you didn't. They were already fucking open. And they have 58%. They were already open before he fucking took office. They were already, it's mind blowing. And this is all a fucking smoke and mirror fluff beat shit. And that's what I hate. I don't care what politician it comes from. If shit's already in place and you're trying to take credit for it, fuck you. And that's just, fucking A. The administration doesn't have to exert much effort to meet this goal, said Jonathan Butcher, education fellow at Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank. But again, this is an article from, I think it was New York Times. But they provide a lot of stuff. Like I said, I was more interested in the aid, the financial aspect of it, because I think schools need that. And so Biden's pledge was a broader plan to fight COVID, which so far he doesn't have a fucking plan. And that's been clarified many times, or at least they dodged the bullet at the press. He doesn't really have a plan. They're just kind of putting things together as they go. He said he had a plan before he came into office. And so great. We're looking forward to that. Comes to office, got nothing. All right. Again, it's not a political stance. It's just an observational thing. You said he had something, and now he doesn't. All right. It needs to be held accountable. So he's at part of the COVID relief package, though. I'll give him credit. And like I said, with the support and the financial shit, they did add $130 billion to help schools fix ventilation systems, stock up on protective gear, and take other steps to open. That may help for some school districts. Some school districts probably aren't hurting so much in that category. They were at the beginning of all this. Last spring they probably could have used a lot of that help. If maybe they could use that in a grant to help cover the expenses used, that might help. But right now, I think a lot of schools are already okay. They got the sanitizers and gloves and masks and shit. But of course, every little bit helps, especially in those more financially hardened areas, cities and whatnot. But they also say that obviously getting kids back to school more than 1 day a week. This 1 day a week is bullshit, because parents can't get back to work on 1 day a week school. And because think about it, one of the goals with this is to help free those parents up to get them back to work, because a lot of parents are out of work. A lot of parents are getting unemployment because they're home. If they're home, they're doing the home-based stuff, they can get money for that now. But they want to get those people off of those roles and back into work. But it's not going to happen on 1 day a week. And their bar is way too low. It should be at best maybe, or at minimal 3 days a week. I don't know. David Hernandez, what's up? Sorry, I just saw that. But Lemmy and Rhett were there from the Bubba. Oh, all right. Uh, the rock and roll thing. Sorry, man, I just saw this. I had it hidden under another window. Um, but yeah, anyway, again, Biden's whole thing. Will that money help? It'll help a little bit. I don't think it's not really going to help in the way we need. A lot of schools need, and unless if that money can be used for renting trailers for classrooms, additional classroom space. A lot of schools have that because they have to. You still have to put in the spacing, right? You still have to have 6 feet apart, even when if we open up, spread people apart. A lot of schools that have 15, 20 plus kids in a classroom cannot spread them out 6 feet apart. Some classrooms are fairly small, some are big, but a lot of them are not big enough to spread 6 feet all around, all directions. And that's a problem a lot of schools have had. A lot of school districts have had shuffle classes around, even on the remote learning. They stagger it, on Tuesdays and Thursdays for Group A, and then some kids from those very same classes are in Group B, say Wednesday, Friday. So that way, only half the people are in the class, and they can spread them out big enough. Some schools I've seen that have 2 or 3 groups, separate groups, still don't have enough classroom space and had to utilize other space, say like at a town hall, or they had to move, say, kindergarten, something from elementary school to high school, for those particular days. And it's very weird, but I mean, it's good that schools are doing what they have to do. But then another thing is the Centers for Disease Control issued a study last month finding that mask wearing and other precautions, with the mask wearing and other precautions, it is generally safe to have in school, in person classes. And the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, added that vaccinating teachers is not a prerequisite for safely opening schools. Now, obviously, school districts have many different, not school districts, the teachers, unions have a different say on that. A lot of them have challenged going back. Cities like Chicago, stuff like that, are basically trying to force their teachers back to work. Teachers don't want to go back to work until they all had the vaccination. They're all eligible for it. And then certain other numbers are better before they're forced to go in a classroom, at least on a full-time basis. Some are already doing it without bitching. I guess it really depends on where you're at. But yeah, there were a lot of like Chicago, San Francisco have faced resistance from teachers to refuse to return until the demands are met, and which is basically that they want to be provided some type of safe environment. I can agree with that. Like I said, with the amount of classes in some schools, you can't safely do it with a full class, and it's just not going to work. Republicans saw a statement. Republicans saw the CDC director's statement and utilized that, and of course, Psaki immediately responded that was Walensky's personal opinion. She's the CDC director. To me, that, whether it be personal or whatever, when she publicly states something like that as CDC director, that's what she means. And well, the White House is trying to, no, that's not really what she meant. That's just her personal opinion. Her personal and professional opinion. She's the CDC director and said that. But what it is Biden and his crew are trying to, no, hold on. And I don't know. Can they open up? They can't open up. Regardless, all sides are going to agree to disagree on this. Everyone wants some things to open up. Others are like, you open up, you're going to kill us all. Especially here in Massachusetts, Governor Baker, if he opens shit up, you got half the state saying he's going to kill us all. If you keep things closed, you get the other half saying, Jesus Christ, my life sucks. I can't go out, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And there is a lot of that crap. And it's just, sad that life is like that, but it is. And then going on with the Biden administration, and again, not political, okay, that I'm just trying to talk about getting kids back into school, financial stuff. and I will shout that there was some money allocated for um, some of those steps needed for personal protection equipment, ventilation systems. I think that's just a year too late. And yes, you could probably blame Trump for that. A year too late, so that would be somebody else's problem. I get that. Um, but I think what I really want to see is something pushing for more space, things like that. The other part of the steps, the vaccination. Again, Biden doesn't have a COVID-19 plan. Very poor one if he does. But going with that, many of the changes he made, ICE basically, Biden basically made ICE useless because he made a variety of changes. Good morning, Patty. Hi, baby. Love you. Um, he made a bunch of changes. And again, this is from a legal aspect, right? Not a political aspect. I have to keep saying that because I know people are going to shit all over me for whatever reason. Again, I have no problem shitting on whoever's president when they do something bad or fucked up. But here, what they did is they changed a lot of things that agents will no longer seek to deport immigrants for crimes such as drunk driving and assault. It will focus on national security threats instead. And it will security threats, recent border crosses, which they're not going to because they've already, on that end, have already kind of really scaled down worrying about border crosses. And, they're trying to make it easier for people to go and get their seek asylum, which I support. I have always supported that. Yeah, they do it the right way, no fucking problem. Documented versus undocumented are two very, very different things. If you documented and you stay here past your time or whatever, you might be illegal and defines your past your period, but at least you're documented. We know who you are. We know you're here. We know where you were at least. You might not be there anymore, but I get that. You're documented. You came in. You signed a book, so to speak. You're in the country. That's what I think a lot of us want to see. We know we're a land of hope, and we want people to come to our country. Just do it right, okay? And then also a lot of the things that these changes that they made for ICE, generally the convictions that won't be deported will include DUI, drunk driving, simple assault, money laundering, property crimes, fraud, tax crimes, solicitation, okay, prostitution basically, and other types of things like that, or other charges without convictions. I could almost agree with the charge without convictions, but still, I think when you come to this country, regardless of where you are, and if for a first time offense, I could relax that a bit. I could agree with a first time offender. Okay, you're not going to get deported. But maybe they could apply a 2 or 3 strikes out program for illegal immigrants. If I went to another country, I'm looking for a better life. I go there, I would want to do everything I could to obey by their rules, their laws. So you come to this country, you do the same thing, okay? And people do make mistakes. That's why I say, like with the drunk driving, maybe they get into a bar fight or something like that. So that'll be a simple assault. So I'm not saying like maybe the first offense you boot them out of the country. No, everything would be based on the totality of circumstances. Let me see. I just want to go back over here real quick. No. Just going to. Oh, I have to look that one up. The book about the guy who did used the gorilla glue in his hair, and he didn't believe the woman. Ha ha! We'll have to get that one. But as far as the illegal immigrants, again, I support people come to the country legally. I believe they have a right to come here, seek a better life. Just do it through the front door, not over the backyard fence. And I do think that the backyard fence does need to be watched. Put a couple dogs out there. But at the same time, open those checkpoints in with border crossings where they go legally and sign in. I support that 100%. I want people that do come here to be documented and given a chance to have a good life here. But with that also means to obey our laws. And like I said, you can screw up. People screw up, okay? But maybe you need to adopt like a 3 strikes you're out rule. If you're coming in here and you're constantly committing crimes, you got to go. So you get like 2, 3, 4 convictions, then it's time for you to leave. Time for you to leave. We don't want you here. We can fuck up on our own enough. We don't need more people to come in and help us out. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I know there's been a lot of changes there. A lot of people talking about that. So they basically have abolished ICE without abolishing ICE. They stripped down what they're really supposed to do, and basically the only ones they're going to boot out are murderers and rapists, and maybe they say repeat offenders as far as those that have been deported and come back. They won't. They never do. There are people that have been deported numerous times, still come back. It's not that hard. Wide open. There's no border. There's a wall, but it only doesn't span the whole fucking border. You just find an open space, look around, walk across. The only advantage, the downside is there are motion detectors along some of those. So if you trip one of them, then Border Patrol will be notified. But if you can get across before they can travel 50 fucking miles to that point, you're across. So, I do believe in border security. I do believe in the right, though, also for immigrants to come to our country, and enjoy the better things in life. I think everyone should have that. I agree. We have enough losers in our country. Oh boy, yes, we do. That's we don't need the help from other people outside. That was my whole point. We could do it all by ourselves. We don't need help. So now this is another funny thing I saw, and chicken wars, because McDonald's everybody's trying to compete with Popeyes and Chick-fil-A because they've been blowing up. Chick-fil-A is a popular chain. Most people have seen one or two, but they are actually smaller compared to like McDonald's and Burger King, many less locations. But they also make more money than many of these other chains on their smaller base because they are very successful. It's each location is easily a couple $1 million in sales. Anyway, McDonald's is looking to win the chicken wars with lower prices on their chicken sandwich, because they're trying to compete with Popeyes, as they had their chicken sandwich, which Patty is still dying to try, and I agree we're gonna have to try that at some point. Maybe with Byron on the Wicked Pissah Show, we can grab a few and do one on our next show. But yeah, all of the fast food joints are trying to compete with Chick-fil-A and Popeyes, and they're all trying to roll out a chicken sandwich, but the pricing is where there's really a sticky point. Like McDonald's, we're trying to provide it at a better price. Well, it's not that much better. At least for McDonald's, I'd expect it to be much better, right? Because you always relate McDonald's with fucking being dirt cheap. Well, the McDonald's is bringing their chicken sandwich out. Depends on the market, but $3.49 to $3.69 a sandwich, compared to Chick-fil-A's $3.75. Ooh, I'm gonna save 6 cents if I go to. I'd rather go to Chick-fil-A, know that it's gonna probably be real chicken, because I'm still on the fence about McDonald's fucking nuggets and shit. Processed chicken. No. So the McDonald's, they learned a lesson from the buttermilk crispy chicken sandwich they had. It was launched at a price at a premium. I had that. It was good. Probably a little too expensive. And again, wasn't that expensive. It was a good sandwich. You have to look at where it's coming from. McDonald's, okay? The Golden Arches, McDonald's. You don't go to McDonald's to spend $6 on a burger. That is simply the point. So I think these chains that are trying to compete with Chick-fil-A or Popeyes, that the problem being is they're trying to underprice them, or I don't know, they're failing at the underprice part, but they are not able to compete in that realm because, for one, like I said, McDonald's, because they got the mystery burger meat is what I call it, the mystery burger meat. Chicken The chicken nuggets have gotten better. I'll say they've gotten better. They were like a real mystery fucking chicken than before. Um, but it's the same thing with the chicken sandwiches. They're okay. But I don't know if they can compete to a Chick-fil-A or the Popeyes, these chicken places that deal exclusively in chicken. Burger King trying to do the same thing. They're trying to work out their pricing. Now, as I just bitched about McDonald's being $3.69, 6 cents lower than Chick-fil-A, Burger King wants to price their new sandwich at about $5.29. A little pricey. But again, if you look at, as I've always had, Burger King and McDonald's, I go to Burger King knowing I'm getting a burger. Well, however sick, twisted mind that might be, I go to Burger King. I expect a different level of food. I know it's still fast food, but I've always thought of McDonald's and Burger King miles apart. So Burger King restaurants sell about 60 to 75 chicken sandwiches a day. So 60 to 75 chicken sandwiches a day. That equals about a 4% sales increase on chicken sandwiches alone. But the chicken wars continue to battle out. Where is your favorite place to get a chicken sandwich from? I don't know. I like the I was gonna say the Stuart Little, the Chicken Littles at KFC. Little bun, little fucking chicken tender or pickle. That's my kind of thing. What else we got? That might actually fucking be it. That is me. I ranted and raved quite a bit today on those other topics. I ranted and raved quite a bit. Let's review real quick here. Oops, somebody chime in. My house. A chicken sandwich at your house? Okay. So student loan forgiveness, as I mentioned, if you got to read the fine print, okay? This is a fucking fluff piece. This is nothing more than a fucking fluff piece. All right? You got to learn to read beyond the headlines, read into the fine print. Many of these student loans are not eligible for forgiveness. They talk about the big number. I don't even know what it is, but the billions that are tied up in student loans. Okay? Well, Congress is going to sign a student loan forgiveness program. Okay, guess what? Like 90% of that student loan debt or whatever, not eligible for forgiveness. It's not. Okay? The government can't force these private lenders to say, fuck it, forget it. It doesn't work that way. So the majority of these student loans are not eligible for forgiveness. So, think about that before you jump on that bandwagon all excited and you get depressed when you fucking contact your lender and find out that it ain't happening. So, and again, how this happened, I don't understand, and I don't understand how rappers, I like LL Cool J all day long. I got much respect for Jay-Z, and, I'll jam out to some Notorious B.I.G., he was nominated too last year, but I think I got bumped out. Right? But he, I don't understand how these hip hop artists are getting elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And if there was just the Music Hall of Fame, is there one? I don't know. Maybe that might be the way to go. Music Hall of Fame all day long. I could agree with that. But the rock and roll, when you start talking rock and roll, I'm thinking you're talking about rock and roll. I don't think, just my 2 cents, the hip hop artist doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, but that's that. Anyway, connecting the dots, the new Deputy Assistant Attorney General, Pamela Karlan, she's a Stanford law school professor, a lawyer. She worked for Facebook. She was a part of the Facebook advisory group, slapping around people that shouldn't post shit they shouldn't, basically the content. And then also testified, which I'm not sure why. I don't. She testified at a Senate hearing for impeachment for Trump, saying that he needed to be held accountable. Now, this is a perfect example of these people that use their clout, I guess, whatever. As her, the legal professor, she got involved in a lot of different things, civil rights and stuff like that. So stand out, and now she gets called to Congress to talk out against Trump, while last year, the year before, for why he needed to be impeached, testified on that, and now she's getting a nice little pat in the back by making a deputy assistant attorney general uh, with the DOJ. So I'm just lost. I guess kissing ass, nepotism will never change. That's because that's pretty much what that is. Oh yeah, and the he deserved that. Okay, that was Tom Brady tossing the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi Trophy, from one boat to the other as they flew around Tampa Bay, and he was hammered. You probably saw those pictures earlier. There's a million of them online. He was hammered and staggering. Someone had to hold him up. He fucking deserved that. I don't care what you say. He deserved to be able to get drunk and do what he wanted to do. You know, the guy is I see him as extremely humble. The success he's had, the popularity he has, and he's very low key for the most part. That was probably one of the least low key moments of his career, but it's not often he does that shit, and he deserved that every minute of it. And then again, I touched on this yesterday, and then part two today. Psaki, I said the other day that they said that only one day in school counts as school being reopened. Bullshit. The whole goal of schools being reopened is to get parents back to work, kids out of the house, back to school, especially for social skills, right? The kids are not socializing for shit. They're glued to the phone more than ever because there's like nowhere to go, especially now winter, especially in the Northeast. No one's going to go on a hike on a 9-degree day, so you have kids are laying around doing nothing when they're not doing their Zoom school, and it's like a fight to get the kid to pay attention on the computer, right? And the whole point of the Biden's pledge to get them back to school was so parents can go back to work, and as well as to get the kids socializing again, which is extremely important. But they're saying otherwise. Oh, if you're in school one day a week, you're open. So that's a great way to dodge a real pledge, because that's shady shit right there. Even if like I said, I'd be more accepted of it if he did 3 days a week. Said, hey, 3 days a week, that's more than half the week. You're right, more than half the week, more than the majority of the time they're back in school. Great. That still helped get the parents back to work a few days a week, right? But, what do I know? So, and then again, the ICE gets stripped of their powers, like typical, as we've always expected. It was the same thing we saw during Obama, and I will agree that Trump took a lot of things too far. But basically what Trump did, he took away, quote, the policies, and Biden put new policies in place. And during Obama, what stopped a lot of the ICE powers and stuff were policies. And now I disagree with policies by presidents, because these policies are basically saying do not enforce the law. What I think, and that's kind of what Trump brought up, but again, he went extreme. I get it. I'm not supporting him in that aspect at all. But the only thing I do support was that he said he was enforcing the law as written. And that is the problem. Presidents shouldn't have to put in policies in place to say don't enforce the laws. What they should be doing is working to make legislation to change these so-called laws that they don't want to do. Why are you going to hold a law in place? How are you going to hold a law in place and then write a policy, don't enforce it? How about you write a new law? You propose legislation to change that, and now there's no policy. It's law. That we don't do that because it's not the law, or it is the law, whatever. That's what should be done, and that way we're not flip-flopping every 4 or 8 years of what we do and what we don't do. It's the law. This is what changes. If you want to change it, you do the appropriate steps through the legislative process. And, even if it's a Democrat or Republican controlled House, that's how you do it. You do those steps. That way it's much more in the open too, rather than, he just signed an executive order. No, it's bullshit. It needs to be aired out. Dirty laundry needs to be aired like that. Lummy in the background holding a goat. Right? What else we got? I think we're all wrapped up. That's it. I don't want to keep everybody. I know I'm like blabbing way too much today. But that's it. Thanks. Chicken Wars. Your chicken sandwich. Patty does make a mean chicken. Mean. Fucking awesome. She, the best is chicken and waffles. Oh my God. But yes, here it is. Just give me 1 second here.
The Wicked Pissah Show. Bumpa, Byron, and Patty Cakes. No bullshit talk radio. Wicked cool. Wicked funny. Wicked Pissah.
That's right. Catch out the other 2/3 of me. I always say that, but it's not right, is it? No, not the 2/3 of me. I'm 1/3 of them. No. Well, there's 3 parts of the show. Wicked Pissah Show. Catch it. We don't have a show planned yet. Hopefully one of these motherfuckers figures something out. But yeah, we do have a show coming up soon, I hope. The Wicked Pissah Show, the 3 of us, myself, Byron, and the gorgeous, lovely Patty Cakes, a.k.a. Bumpa's girl. But we have a great threesome. That didn't sound right? Trio. Yes, a trio. Cast of 3. I love to shoot the shit while trying new beers. Some morning I will try a beer on the show. How's that? On my morning show. But that's it. And this one goes out to a very special fan of the Wicked Pissah Show. He is a frequenter, Mr. Joe 80s. And this one is what we're going to end it with. So everyone, love you all. Have a great day. Catch me Monday morning. And see, I have the weekend to put shit together for Monday morning. So I'll be on at 8 Monday morning. Okay? So for the rest of you, love you. Not really. Go fuck yourself. Not my fault you're an asshole. I'm Bumpa, the Daily Pissah Show. Have a good one.
In Bush, I got him at gunpoint. Okay, gunpoint, 132 in Bush, covers code 3. Being sent. Unit 2514 can transmit on tag 2. Okay, we'll still send it code 3.